Hello, I'm Jon Stapleton with CodeVA, and this is a tutorial on using relational expressions in Twine, in the Chapbook Twine story format. Relational expressions are a way for us to have the computer compare numbers and get values of true or false out of them, which is super, super useful in the context of if statements or like if blocks, unless blocks, that kind of stuff. So I've got a little story here, and the goal that I'm going to work toward in this video is having a story where the computer keeps track of a score, and I want the reader to have to make that score get high enough in order for them to get to the end of the story. Like they have to, in this story, they have to find coins, and if they find enough coins, then they can get to the end. That's the story. That's my goal here, and I can do that with relational expressions. So here's the plan. Let's focus in on this quest passage I've created. I have this variable called finished, and that variable called finished is going to have a value of true or false. So I can use it in my if block. If blocks are, or if else blocks aren't, familiar to you, check out the link in the description to the tutorial about those concepts. It's it's important for this for this this relational expressions concept to know what if blocks and unless blocks do. So I've got this variable. It has a value of false, which means that the story is going to show this prompt: find the hidden coins 3, and I will show you the way forward. Right now there's no links to anywhere else, but that's okay. Then if finished has a value of true, it'll show the other option, which has the link to the end. So let's test this out. So right now finished is false, which means we won't see a link. We'll just see find the hidden coins 3. Yep, looks good. And then if I change finished to true, then we get follow the figure, which leads to the end. Now, this is not quite what I want. I want this variable to depend on the score variable, right? I have this score variable, it's 0, and I want the options to be shown to the reader based on the score variable, not based on whether finished is true or not. Like, for example, if score is 3 or greater than 2, maybe I would want the that to be the end. I want the reader to find 3 coins before they can go to the end. And if score is not 3, if it's less, if it's 2 or fewer, then I would want the story to prompt them to continue on, right? Like to keep looking for the coins. I need some way of having the computer compare score to a number and then produce a value of true or false that I can use in my if statement, because I need a value of true or false for my if statements. Relational expressions are the answer to this problem. Relational expressions are sort of like mathematical expressions or arithmetic expressions. They are a way to have a computer compare two values and produce a value of true or false. And you probably know relational operators already. So, like, for example, 5 less than 8. Less than is what we call a relational operator. And you can look at this statement, this kind of relational expression, and you can say if it's true or false. 5 is less than the number 8. So this relational expression, 5 less than 8, would give a value of true. 5 less than 8, finished would be true, meaning that the computer would show this section and hide this section. And there it is. That's what we expect. If I were to make a false statement, like 5 less than 3, 5 is not less than 3, which means the computer would produce a value of false, hiding that section and revealing this section. There we go. Now, for this situation, we don't want to compare two, static numbers. What we want to do is have the computer compare score to a number. If the variable called score is greater than 3, or greater than 2. If the variable called score is greater than 2, the computer will show this because the variable called finished will have a value of true. If the variable score is not greater than 2, the variable called finished will have a value of false, and the computer will reveal this section and hide this section, which is great. Now, the variable called score has a value of 0 at the beginning of the story. So when the reader first gets to the quest passage, this relational expression, the computer is going to interpret that relational expression to be false because score is 0 and 0 is not greater than 2. Let's test that out. So I'm going to start from the beginning, and here we go. Score is 0. And then we have this variable called finished and has a value of false because score is not greater than 2. And we have our prompt. If I were to change score to a value of 3, for example, test the story. Now we have our ending link. Relational expressions, great. Now the real key here is we want the story to modify that score variable. We can't start with 3 because then the story just ends immediately. We need the reader to go through some actions to modify this score variable. There's a tutorial about modifying variables, so you can check out in the description below. I'm just going to kind of do it real fast here because just for demonstration purposes. So I've pasted some links here. We have road, forest, and cabin. These are the different places you find a coin. These are different places that the reader can find a coin, and in each of those places I'm going to modify the score variable so that the computer increases it by 1. And we'll be able to watch the variable change value in our testing view as we go. Cabin. All right, we have all of our variables. Let's test the story out. So right now score is 0, which means that because of our relational expression, score is not greater than 2. So the computer hides the ending link and shows all of the other links. So search the road. We found score 1. Oh, I don't have links back. let me fix that real quick. All right, I've debugged. Let's try again. Begin. Score is less than 2, so our finished variable is false, and we get the link hidden. If I search the road, score goes up by 1, but it's still less than 2. It's still less than or equal to 2, which means finished is false. Search the forest again. Now score is 2, but finished is still false because we still don't have enough of a score. But now score is 3, which means that finished is true, and we have the ending. That's how you use relational expressions. This is a super kind of simple example, but there's a lot of ways to use this in your stories. So if you have any questions or you run into any problems with relational expressions, please let us know. We would love to help with that. Get in the comments of the video. If you need to check out if and else blocks or if unless blocks or variables, there's links to those concepts in the descriptions, tutorials. There's also a link to a text version of this tutorial that has code examples and screenshots and lots of other resources for you to use. Feel free to check those out. That would be pretty helpful if you're trying to implement this stuff in your story. Otherwise, good luck and happy coding.